And welcome everybody. My name is Keith Barker. Here's our quiz on BGP for the CCNA. And you might think, do I need to know BGP for the CCNA? Well, does BGP have an administrative distance? Yes. Does BGP put routes in the routing table which might be used? Yes. So for those reasons, if not more, we are going to take a look at BGP today. All right, here we go. I'm glad you're all here. Here is our first question. How was the route to 10.1.5.0 with a 27-bit mask? How was it learned? All right, how was that route to 10.150/27 learned? That's a great question. Let's take a look. 10.150/27, that's this bad boy right here. Okay, great. So we've got the route. And, you know, I hid the codes on the left. They're all missing here. But based on the administrative distance, that's very likely going to be external BGP. And in the next hop is 10.2.46.6, which is the next BGP router. Awesome, awesome. We are off to a great start. I'm so pleased. And here is question number 2. It says multiple select. Let's see if that's true. Which of the following are true regarding 10.58.00 with a 24-bit mask? All right, which of the following are true regarding 10.58.0? Let's take a look. Let's do a show media here. Bring out a pen. And regarding 10.58.0 down here, it looks like because these are randomized orders too. I did not intend for these to go back to back, but that AD is representative of external BGP. That's the default AD for an external BGP learned route. So if we go back and we take a look at the answers here. Yeah, learn via external BGP. Oh, and has an AD of 20. Yep. You guys are doing great. All right, crushing it. Oh my gosh, I'm so pleased. We are off to a fantastic start. Here is question number 3 of 10. Which network statement will advertise the 10.39.0 network with the 24-bit mask to the BGP neighbor 8888? All right, I'd like to take a moment and talk about this answer and why it is what it is. But before I do that, I've got something really cool I want to do a shout out for. And that is this. The finalists of the Tiksha Engineers 14th grade. You know who you are. Good luck with your final exam. A shout out from the OG of IT. And also, after your final exam, I'd like you to continue thinking about getting your CCNA. It's definitely worth it. It's a great stepping stone. And I do appreciate everybody who's trying and working on their certifications and getting the skills. It is a life changer. So I also want to thank Michael for coordinating all that. And man, I just love it when people are progressing and growing. So again, congratulations to the Tiksha Engineers, 14th grade Israel. Good luck with your final exams. All right, as we continue on, let's take a look at this question. So which network statement will advertise 10.39.0/24 to the neighbor? We don't actually even need a topology for this. For BGP, the way we advertise networks is this. And so this route, this network has to be in the routing table of the router who wants to advertise it. But this is the syntax. If you saw it in a config, that's what it would look like. Network, you can do net for short. The actual network, the keyword mask, which is kind of new. If you're working with like OSPF and EIGRP, they don't use a keyword mask. And then the mask that you want to identify or include as part of that route, and that'll be advertised to the BGP neighbor, assuming that the client who has that route has it. If they have that route, it'll advertise it to the neighbor so the neighbor can learn about it. All right, let me clear that off. And that might be important to be aware of as well. All right, witty and 3,573 points. Oh my gosh, here we go. Question 4 of 10, multiple select, or so it says. The router is about to learn about 10.58/16 via RIP. What's going to happen? All right, the router's about to learn about 10.58 with a 16-bit mask via RIP. What's going to happen? A lot of people nailed it. Fantastic. Because there is no route for 10.58, that 16-bit network in the routing table, it's just going to be added. There's no competition for it. That exact route doesn't currently exist. And if it's learned via RIP, the default administrative distance would be 120 for that rip learn route. All right, good job, everyone. Let's continue on. Question 5 of 10, double points. What is true about the route that's going to be used when forwarding a packet to host 10.1.5.30? Good luck. So the question is really, which of these two routes is the longest match that includes that IP address? And it is the /27. And so come and see me in Subnet Saturdays for calculating what is the range for a subnet and all that good stuff. And then as a result, because this is the route we're focusing on here, the administrative distance is 20, which implies it was external BGP learned. And that's how I tied it into BGP for this quiz. All right, let me clear that off. Let me close that. I'm having a good time, having a great time. So glad that you're here. And every Sunday at 11 a.m., we have a quiz like this on various topics that are related to CCNA, which all these are, by the way. Also at 10 o'clock a.m. every single Saturday Pacific time, I have my open office hour on Discord. It's free. You just show up. If you have questions, you can put them in the queue, and we just tackle the questions you have about the technologies that you're studying. There's also a great community. I'd like to also congratulate everybody who passed their CCNA in the last week. Lots of people. And also the comments that I've gotten back were that the Discord server is great. I found a study buddy or two. I had people who could help me. I was able to, walk through concepts. So please use all those resources. The YouTube channel is free. The Discord server is free. And I've got a playlist with all the recordings from these quizzes that are a great way before you go get your certification, just to validate that you understand the concepts. Question 6 of 10. It's a puzzle. I love a puzzle. Double points. Place the routing protocols based on AD, administrative distance. Be careful on this one. From the most preferred to the least preferred. We have 39% of the crew got this correct. Let's talk about the details of why the correct answer is correct. And let's start with this. Place the routing protocols based on AD from most preferred to least, which is just a mind blower right there. So the most preferred would be a lower AD. So we're really looking from a low AD to high AD. And so for this, we could say, well, internal EAGRP has an administrative distance of 90. OSPF has an administrative distance of what? Help me out here. Go ahead and put that in the comments. What is the AD, the administrative distance of OSPF? Also, while those are coming in, if there's a really great video, it's called Why Routes Have to Win Twice. I find that most people have a challenge with the relationship between administrative distance, people are brand new to it, I should say, and also what routes are selected from the routing table. So routes have to get into the routing table based on AD, a little fight out battle there. And then once they're in the routing table, it really doesn't matter. It's like if they're in the routing table, it's always the longest match that's going to be used based on a forwarding decision. So that's a great video if you need to brush up on administrative distance or longest match. All right, so OSPF, thank you for all the answers. There's a lot of correct ones in there. I will put the correct answer there. It's 110. OSPF is 110. And ISIS is going to be a higher number because this is the order. ISIS is 115. And internal BGP is, I think this is the word right there, bad. It's 200. So internal BGP is 200 and external BGP is great. External BGP would be way over here. That'd be 20. So those are the numbers. That's why it's important to be aware how BGP works and what the administrative distances are. And that way you can make the right prediction based on what kind of route you're learning based on the routing protocol being used. Here we go. Question number 7, multiple select, maybe. It's also double points. What is true based on the output regarding BGP? Here's how I would tackle this. What is true based on the output? And, let's talk about this for a moment. There's a lot of output from a lot of commands. And sometimes when we see a lot of output, it's like, oh, it's so much output. But we only really need a little teeny piece of it. And so I've discovered, like when I'm working with different vendors like Citrix or Big IP from F5 or Checkpoint or Palo Alto or Cisco, whoever it is, I find that even though I may not be as familiar with the commands as I am on like a Cisco platform, because that's my main platform I work with, the output, even if it's different, has usually the information I need, and you can sort through it and find it, and it's not that bad. So what I like to do is take a moment and just walk you through this output. Even though it looks a little daunting, it really isn't too bad. So this is show IP BG, or the old command, which still works, is show IP BGP summary, but show BGP for the IPv4 family, unicast summary. Either way, what this is, we're on router 9, and it's saying that my autonomous system number is 9. So if we just drew this out, here's R9. He's an AS9 from a BGP perspective. And there's a whole bunch of other really fun stuff here as well. But if in this output, it says my neighbor is 8888, and my neighbor is in autonomous system 8. So I'm going to call this router 8 because it is, but it doesn't matter the router number. He's an AS8. Now, if you have two routers that are neighboring with each other, and they are based on this output, if they are in different autonomous systems from a BGP perspective, that makes them an external BGP neighbor. And the reason that matters is that if we learn to route, let's imagine that R9 has the network 10.20.30.0 with the 24-bit mask. If R9 advertises that with a network statement, which would be network 10.20.30.0, the keyword mask, and then the dotted decimal mask of 255, I'm going to put one up here, 255.0. Assuming he had that route and he used the network statement, that route would show up over here at R8, and assuming there wasn't already competition for it, and we had to duke it out, that route would be injected in the routing table of R8 with the next hop of R9, and it would also show that it has an AD of 20 because it was learned via external BGP. If these guys were internal BGP neighbors, meaning they are both in the same autonomous system, then based on being internal BGP, the advertised route would have an administrative distance of 200. So that's just a little reinforcement. And so all this, like, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. That's the song that I sing. I don't care, I don't care. It's like, just take what you need from the output, answer the question, and move forward. Because there's very likely, I mean, if I was writing questions, I would possibly create a lot of distracting things that aren't really relevant to the question. So answer the question and move on. All right, I feel better. So we had 59 people that nailed that, and a few others that now, I think you've got that question again, would do a lot better with it. And here, I think this is one of those where I said it was multiple select, and I only had one correct answer. A little bit tricky on my part. Cisco will not do that to you, by the way. In an exam, they're not going to say, choose all to deploy. They'll be like, choose 2 or choose 1. And it'll be very clear. They're not going to say, give me an essay on BGP. They're going to say, answer this question based on your knowledge of how this protocol works. All right, we'll click on resume. And here is question 8 of 10. It's a puzzle. I love puzzles. Based on administrative distance, place the routing protocols from the least preferred to the most preferred. This is similar to the other one, but not exactly the same, so be careful. All right, well, a little room for improvement, but that's exactly why we're here. Let's go ahead and take a look at why this is the correct order. So what I would do to approach this is say, well, what do I know, right? Like if we're solving a math problem, like try to find x or what the value of x is, we start with the constants that we know. So for these protocols, I know external BGP has an administrative distance for routes learned via external BGP of 20. So I just write down the AD there. And O is not the Cirque du Soleil show at the Bellagio. O represents OSPF, and the default AD for OSPF is 110. Memory serves me. And then I, we'll come back to that in a moment. R is for RIP, as in the Routing Information Protocol. It has a default AD of 120. And then I is for, depends on what the definition of is. That's an old joke. But anyway, that's ISIS. and it has an administrative distance of 115. So if we are ranking these from least preferred, or the highest number to lowest, it would look like that. Here we go. Here's question number 9. Multiple select. What is true about the route used to reach a host at 10.1.5.5? All right. Wow, look at that. We have massive numbers on the correct answer. So good. So good. So this is the best, this is the longest match, and that's why that would be chosen. Then there's the administrative distance first, which is always first there, and that's the default for external BGP. So we can assume this route was learned via external BGP. It doesn't mean that's always true, but very likely. And then we have the cost or metric, which for a BGP, unless we work with the multi-exit discriminator and play around with that, that's going to be 0. And then there's the next hop. So, all right. I think we have one more. Oh my gosh, it saved, I think, my favorite question for last. If you don't love it, that's okay. But I spent about, I don't know, a good 30 minutes yesterday crafting for you this final question, which I'm so glad they put last. And here it is. It is double points. How many of these routes make it into the routing table? All right, how many routes make it into the routing table? We had 52 people on the right answer, which is, looks like a majority. Fantastic. So majority of the people that answered correctly. Let's talk about that for a moment. This is a good one. This is one of my favorite, again, I think the favorite question that I created yesterday for this quiz. And let me use this color. All right. So let's imagine this is a router, and we'll call it router 1 just because we can. And let's imagine it has eBGP neighbors and EIGRP neighbors and OSPF adjacencies and iBGP neighbors, and it's running ISIS, depending on what the definition of is, and iBGP and RIP. Let's go down this list and let's just document what the ADs are for each of those. That'd be a good starting point. Like if you don't know what exactly to do, start with what you know. Start with something that you can identify. And so to do that, if you would help me out here, go ahead and in the chats, what is the AD for external BGP learned routes? Now, the cool thing is, because we've reinforced this like 5 times in this video, it's going to be hard to forget about external BGP. I just want to confirm, crushing it. Thank you. All right. And that's it for external BGP. EIGRP. And when Cisco in CCNA world talks about EIGRP, even though it's not explicitly on the blueprint, it's important to know what the AD is for that. And this is referring to internal. So there's a separate AD for external EIGRP, but internal EIGRP, if you could just type in what that is, that'd be great. And I see the answers pouring in there, 90, fantastic. And EIGRP, that's it for that. And then for OSPF, Open Source Path First, what is the administrative distance for OSPF? And Samuel's like, here's all of them. Good job, Samuel. All right, OSPF is 110, and then for internal BGP, just to humor me for a few more moments here. Internal BGP neighbors sharing routes back and forth. Those learned routes from internal BGP neighbors would be an administrative distance of, perfect, 200. And then we also have that down here, so I'll repeat that down here. And then ISIS, intermediate system to intermediate system. What would that be? Go ahead and type that in. And if you're, I see a lot of answers at 115. Great. Here's what we need to do. When we take the exam, we all go together. All 100 and there's 200 people online, right? So all 200 of us, we all go to the exam together. If that was possible, we would all crush it. But the thing is, when you step into that room, or if you're taking it, remotely, when you take that exam, you're on your own, and they're going to ask you specific questions that help confirm you understand the technology, and you answer it and you move on. There's no essays. You can't explain, well, I thought it was this. So you're doing great. And then RIP, last one. And I have people pumping that answer in already. Thank you, everybody. It is 120. Okay, so that's half the battle. That's why I want to do subnetting. I write out 128, 64, 32, 16. I do, because it gives me a logical starting point for solving any kind of subnetting problems. And if you need to figure out how to do IPv4 subnetting and variable link subnet masking and everything else, Subnet Saturdays, which Anybody who's gone through it swears by it. So if you want to learn it, that's 11 videos. There's a playlist on YouTube called Subnet Saturdays. Go for it. Okay, so now going back to this, let me get some colors. The only real problem with bringing routes in is if we have multiple sources for the same route. So I'm just going to circle this group of routes, which I'm going to call this group A, which is the 10.1.2.64 network with a 28-bit mask. It's the same route. I mean, it's the same prefix. Sometimes we use the word prefix to identify a route, but same prefix, same network, same route. It's all the same. So if all three of these are being advertised to the router, which in production, by the way, is not too likely, but if they all were coming in via these protocols, which one would win? And when you think about administrative distance, which routes get into the routing table, it's going to be the one with the lowest score, the lowest golf score. Think of it like golf, like spanning tree, AD. The lower is better. And so in this case, because we have three different sources and 20 is the best, from group A, it's going to install the external BGP learned route. Done. That's section A. And you know what we're going to do now? Let's get another color. Let's go to section B with the next matching route. So here we have routes 4 and 5, and I numbered these so that when I respond on social media or here, I can talk about route 4, route 5. But these are the same exact networks, 10.1.2.64 with a 29-bit mask. And so if it was learned via internal BGP and then later learned with ISIS, the only route, because it's the same exact route, the only route that would make it into the routing table would be the one that has the lowest administrative distance associated with it. And that would bring in route 5. So and I'm just going to cross out with black here. I'm going to cross out this one and this one and this one. All right, one more. And let's go ahead and let's call this is group B. All right, we have one more group of routes here that are trying to get into the routing table. And that video called, why do routes have to win twice? Will walk you through in specifics on this process and how it works and why it works. So this route 10.1.2.64 with a 30-bit mask. See how the /30 makes this network, I'll call it C, it makes it different than the previous two. So, because the mask is different. So it's a different network, a different street length, if you will. So even though it kind of looks similar, the mask is not the same, meaning it's not the same network. All right, so we have two routes being learned from iBGP, terrible, terrible AD, and RIP, which we can make all the jokes we want to about RIP, but the one that's going to be installed is out of these two is the one that has the lowest administrative distance, which is this bad boy right there. So I'm going to cross out route 6. So the routes that would make it in would be route 1, route 5, and route 7. And so the answers would be one BGP route, and you notice in the answers I didn't say external or internal, but the answer would be one BGP route, one ISIS route, and one RIP route. Just like that. Yeah, it's not often that RIP gets to win anymore, but that's okay. All right, let me clear off that screen, and let me, I think that's it. Here's what we'll do. Let's take a look at the winners table, because you guys all worked hard. Guys and gals, you all worked hard. You're all coming from all over the planet. It's so great to have you here. Enjoy the podium. Joyful Raccoon. You did it. Congrats. Let's get some feedback as well. So overall, we got 40% correct, which is this is the perfect time, by the way. This is the perfect time to identify what we need to study and where we might need to improve. Way good place to do it before we go to the actual exam, whether it's brought to us virtually or we go to a physical facility. And this is helpful for me as well. And this may be, for many of you, the first time you've seen some of the BGP commands that actually implement BGP, which isn't the focus of CCNA, but I wanted to at least expose those to you so you could see what they look like. And let me also get your feedback, if you would. So on your app, or if you're on the webpage for Kahoot, just go ahead and give me your feedback regarding this. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to set a timer. Let me for 10 to 15 minutes. If you have any questions, what I'd love you to do is go ahead and simply ask. That'll work. And I will go ahead and take any questions that are relevant to our discussion here today. My focus these days on YouTube. Now, at CBT Nuggets, we create a lot of content on a lot of topics. And my focus here on the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel is really CCNA focused, and Discord CCNA focused. There's thousands of people who are pursuing their CCNAs every month. And so my goal is to help anybody who wants to put in the time and effort to study to get that done. And a lot of people ask me, what do I need to do? Three basic things. Number one, sorry about that. Number one, get some study material. Yep. Get some study material from somebody. Now I work at CBT Nuggets. We have we have a subscription-based model. You can get it there, or basically some full course that covers all the details. Secondly, download the blueprint. I call it the blueprint. It's the exam topics from Cisco. That should be the first thing you have, the exam topics. And then as you go through them, just make sure you cover all the pieces and use your study material and maybe a good book to do it. And then third is to practice. That's really it. Packet Tracer is free. It's free. And it does virtually everything you'd want to do as far as CCNA level content. And it does a great job, and it's free. And you can go to netacad.com and get it and just lab it up and practice it. So one of my secrets, I'm a double CCI, and one of my secrets is that if I have a question about technology, I'll study it and I'll lab it up. And then I'll just see, oh, that's not what I expected to happen, or didn't realize that was going to happen. And labbing it up helps us. In fact, building a topology from scratch in Packet Tracer is beautiful, because I heard somebody talk about sailing, and they said sailing is like troubleshooting from port to port, like going from here to here, and it's just a bunch of troubleshooting and problem solving on the way. And that's how networks are. It's like, okay, this isn't working. I'm building this lab. Why is this working? I don't know. Let's find out. And there's a lot of people, like 6,000 or 7,000 people as of this recording, or as of this live stream, that are on Discord helping each other. And my goal is for you to graduate and get your CCNA, get that leg up, and then come back and put in a little time and support for your fellow humans who are also studying. And then after you get your CCNA, don't stop. Just keep on going. Go for a CCNP, or go for security, or Checkpoint, or Palo Alto, or Amazon Web Services, or Google, or Azure, or whatever you want to do that you feel would be relevant to help improve your skills and get you a better job and be better at your job. Do those things. See you in the next live quiz, everybody. Bye. I've been waiting all my life for someone like you.